Homemade dog food can be custom made for your dog. It's healthy, fresh dog food, and a freezer meal all in one. Meet Sassy. This is her favorite recipe. It's chock full of fresh veggies and a great way to ensure your dog's diet has a good variety. I make it about once every 6 weeks, but depending on the portions, you're going to be able to make this ahead of time and put it in the freezer in portions that work for your dog. And I give you lots of helpful tips on how to do that. She loves it when I mix up the different ingredients, and I give you all kinds of different tips and ideas in the recipe card on ways that you can vary the dog's diet, and of course things to not put in dog food. There are certain things you definitely want to avoid, and so that's all in there for you. Okay, so let's make it. The first thing I'm doing here is I'm shredding up sweet potatoes. I just give them a quick rinse, put them through a food processor, and in the recipe card I give you kind of portions. It's not a exact portion. You can have more veggies and less meat, more meat, less veggies, but I give you some tips there. And then what I like to do is use some big bowls to work in to add all my ingredients in. I usually make 2 big bowls of this. Stock pots also work well to mix it in. Next, I'm mixing carrots, and I just chopped off the ends, gave them a good rinse, and ran those through the food processor as well. Now these veggies will get cooked, and you can put other veggies in there besides these two. These are just what I'm doing in this batch to give you an idea, and there's lots of ideas again in that recipe card. And while these veggies are being prepped, I have a pot of rice on the stove. I just used a long grain rice with a beef stock. And here you can see the rice is ready. So I like to have the rice going while I'm preparing like the meat and the vegetables. Okay, so I've got a couple things in this pot for this batch of dog food. I do mix it up. I like to mix up her proteins. Today I am using ground beef, but I also added in a package of turkey. My dog happens to be allergic to chicken, so I avoid chicken. But in this pot I've also got some garbanzo beans and black beans, and I'm just using a potato masher to mash the beans in. My dog will pick the beans out, yes. Yours might not, but I do grate the vegetables, smash the beans, because I find that I can get more protein packed into her dog food, and this method has worked great so far. If it's a big chunky bit, she will tend to pull it out. Even though it looks pretty, she doesn't like a big chunk of vegetable. So you just want to get it really well combined, and then we'll be adding in the vegetables in a few minutes. Okay, I've got my carrots and sweet potato in this bowl, and they are finely shredded. I find this works it's really fast and easy to do. You can hear Sassy in the background. They might not all fit yet, but they will cook down a bit, so let's mix those in. Now I'm cooking this in a Dutch oven, a large Dutch oven. But you could also do this in your slow cooker, which is a really nice way to just sort of put everything in there and then let it cook together, sort of like you would make a chili, I guess, again. But today I just went ahead and did it in my cast iron Dutch oven. But there's a lot of vegetables in this today, maybe a little too much. I used 2 or 3 sweet potatoes, a whole package of carrots, and then a big 3-pound container of ground beef, and then a pound of turkey, and then I have rice too. So this is going to make a lot of dog food. This is, for my dog, she's only 10 pounds, but this will probably feed her literally for months. I keep it in the freezer, of course, in little portions. I keep it in 5-day portions, which is a tip for you, and then it's ready to go. You just pull out a bag at a time and defrost it, and then they're ready to eat. And of course, Sassy has to make an appearance and supervise the cooking of the food. There she goes. She's walking by, pacing, waiting for Mommy to serve her doggy dinner, as we call it. Okay, and then what I like to do is mix my dog food in these giant bowls that I have. You could just mix it in a large pot that you have, large bowls, however it works for you. But I've got my rice here. I just used a long grain rice. I did add some beef bouillon to the water. It has no, yes, people get all upset about there's, oh my gosh, tiny bit of garlic in there, but honestly, I've had no issues with Miss Sassy at all. There's such a minuscule amount, I don't think it's a problem. But you make that call on your own. You can just do water. Some people do beef broth, chicken broth. Those are decisions you'll make for your pet and talk to your vet. But when you have a dog like mine that has a severe chicken allergy, my main thing is to avoid any chicken products for me. Sassy had a lot of problems until I switched her diet. When she was a puppy, both my Shih Tzus could not stomach chicken. All right, let's see how we're doing. Looking really good now. See how those vegetables just cooked right down. A little easier to stir it now too. And the beans are well incorporated, which works for us. They're in there, but just in little pieces. So we're almost ready now to combine this mixture with the rice, and then I'll show you how I portion it. Some people use freezer containers, like a plastic container. I just use a Ziploc bag because I can get them to freeze flat. But you got to do what works for you and your lifestyle and your storage in your freezer, which is always a challenge. All right, so this is looking great. I think we're almost done. I'm just going to give it a few more minutes. Okay, so now we're just going to get mixing here. I've got my one big bowl here with rice in the bottom that's all cooked. And I'll just be scooping half into this bowl and half into the other. Again, one tip would be to use if you have one, you could mix in like a chicken stock pot. Those are really big. If you have one of those, or a canning pot would work too. Really good. So there we go. We just mix it up. Now, in the recipe card, I also sometimes add spinach. Sassy's not a huge fan of the spinach, I'll be honest with you, but I do sometimes chop it up through my food processor and add fresh spinach. I don't do the frozen, because it kind of gets cooked. It gets cooked when you put the vegetables in the pot. But you'll have to try different things out on your dog and see what they like. And that's kind of what it looks like. There we are. So this has ground beef, turkey, rice, sweet potato, carrot, black beans, and garbanzo beans. So there's a lot of protein in there. I'll do a couple more scoops. And then I'm gonna let this cool down a little bit, and then I'll show you how we bag it up. Okay, so now I'm gonna show you my trick on how I pack up dog food. I have a little quart-sized zip bag and a measuring cup. And then I just use a canning funnel, put it right inside the bag. This just makes it easier to keep the bag from getting so much gunk in the sealing part that it doesn't close. So this is how I've done it, and it goes real fast. So I don't measure it perfect. If you want to, for your dog, the weight, you can do calculators online for that. Supply. And then what I do, I've done it, try to freeze it in different ways, but what I usually do is freeze it flat. So I'll press it down and get all the air out and seal it like that. And then I'll put it on a thin baking sheet that I have here, stack them up and freeze them in the freezer. And then when they come out, they take up just a little bit of room in my freezer that way, and I can just grab a 5-day supply, put it in the fridge and let it defrost overnight, and then that's the food for almost a week for my dog, but it will be different for every dog. And that's it. And I just keep filling bags and then freeze them. This works great also. Look, I've gone out of town and taken food this way. when I travel with her, different things. So it's always worked really well. And that's it. That is the secret on how to pack up dog food. So that's it. That's how to make homemade dog food. And here you can see Sassy's about to dig into her bowl. Again, it's so easy to do. You're avoiding all kinds of the artificial fillers and flavorings and ingredients that your dog could potentially have reactions to. You can pack it full of leafy greens and colorful vegetables. You can, buy beef on sale or turkey, ground turkey and things like that. And just, you can create your own recipe from the recipe card for things that your dog will appreciate. This has also helped older dogs. I've had readers write in and say that their dogs were finally eating again, which really warms my heart. So hope you try this recipe and enjoy making some homemade dog food. It's always good to supplement with maybe some dry food as well, and make sure you talk to your vet. That's always what I advise readers. But I hope you really enjoy this recipe and your dog does too. And Sassy says bye for now.